The two latest indictments, addressing this issue. This isn't simply traders sharing information over an instant messaging process. How exactly is this working?
Well, you can throw away the whole old school model of insider trading, right? And basically, two cases, they're different, so I'll differentiate a little bit how it was. We saw one in August, which was a very clear cut of traders in the U.S. hiring hackers in Russia to go into...
In Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah, in Pennsylvania, in Atlanta, in different areas, and basically hiring to go into the newswire services like PR Newswire, Business Wire, and take out non-public information before it's released to the public, trade on that, and they made tens of millions of dollars of that. Tens of millions of dollars doing that. And then the second case, it was a much more large, broad, global conspiracy with all sorts of illegal activities. There was gleans of them looking for information as they hacked into companies like Dow Jones, E-Trade, Scottrade, that they could be looking for that type of information to trade on that. So now you're seeing this kind of confluence of events where prosecutors aren't so worried about hedge fund managers and analysts, trading tips so much. It's big, broad hacking operations that are getting into financial services that could potentially be used for securities fraud.
And what kind of information? Are they simply getting earnings numbers and basic public releases before they come out to trade ahead of those numbers?
Yeah, so the case that we saw this summer, that's exactly what it was. It's basically, what the earnings guidance was or what earnings numbers was, and they're getting those 24 hours before they're released to the public. And they can be in the servers of these companies, some of the largest financial companies in the world, for years, without being detected. So chances are this is going on all over the place right now.
So we call it insider trading because it's confidential business information. But really, I wonder whether it is. Isn't this more akin to just theft? It's like if somebody broke into the Bloomberg offices and stole confidential information and then essentially fenced it. To make money off of it.
It absolutely is theft. And when these cases are charged, they are very specifically charged as securities fraud and aren't necessarily branded insider trading. But it is a type of insider trading where you're taking information that's not available to the public and you're trading on that and you're making money. So legally, yes, of course you're right.
Yeah, the verb that comes to mind is steal.
Yes, exactly.
They're stealing customer information that isn't obviously theirs.
And hacking, as we know, is one of the toughest crimes for the FBI and for law enforcement to counter. I mean, hackers, it's just like in the movies, right? Usually things aren't, but they are 20 steps ahead of everybody. The U.S. government was hacked, had an enormous hack of personal information earlier this year, and, even the U.S. government servers are vulnerable.
Then how does this get policed?
It's really tough. I mean, it's absolutely tough. So companies hire security firms. They spend a lot of money. Obviously, the financial services companies are spending more and more and more on proactive, defensive systems as opposed to reactive defensive systems, which they were doing for years. But
so what does that mean? Just beef up their firewalls?
It just seems like you can't spend your way out of protecting your company from hacking. I mean, it seems like anybody can get in. It's just how quick you can identify that and how quick you can get them out of there.
So, Matt, does the Bloomberg have something with the security?
Well, investors think that people will try and spend their way out of this for sure. Take a look at the ISE Cybersecurity Index. That's in white here, and you can see that it's outperformed the Application Software Index that I chose here to compare to it, or the S&P by a lot over the last 5 years in total returns. This includes companies like FireEye, like Symantec, VeriSign, but also Booz Allen and Cisco. So hardware, software, legal, advisory. Investors are betting that this is going to be a huge growth industry, and that's why it's up 152% over the last 5 years.
But, Keri, if you can't spend your way out of it, couldn't one make the argument don't spend any money at all, because if the hack's coming, the hack's coming?
Well, if you don't spend any money at all, basically your company's going to be gone in about 12 hours, right? So basically every Wall Street bank is going to be decimated within a number of hours. But to keep them standing and running up, they are having to spend hundreds of millions of dollars. And this is just the new normal, right? I mean, hacking kind of has always been a major issue, but it's now crept up on us as an incredibly dangerous issue facing Wall Street and financial services companies.
You think there's an analogy with insurance? Why do you need insurance?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is that an appropriate analogy for cybersecurity?
Absolutely, and that's why they sell cyber hacking insurance in case you do get hacked, right?
Of course they do.
When I talked to Brian Moynihan, he said at Bank of America, it's the only area, he says, I will not put a budget on you. You pay whatever it takes to keep us secure.
And those companies like Symantec
they're doing all right.
love that.
Exactly. So Keri, Geiger, thank you very much for that interesting story.